Steve Brenner will be absent, John Woodward will be absent, Fred Noble,
Here.
Jen Ryder, here, and Bill Jenks.
Here.
Okay, any public comment? This is related to subject matter of the committee. Hearing none, we'll move on. Item 4, 1725 Dauphin Avenue, that's that stormwater management appeal. That was resolved, wasn't it?
It's actually the property maintenance that was a typo on at least that part of the agenda. It is that there's effectively some type of settlement / continuance agreement that has been reached, so yes, we are not having that today.
Okay. And so there's nothing further we need to do.
Not at this time. I mean, I think committee should be on notice that this matter could come back to the committee if the property owner doesn't fulfill the commitments that he has made to the borough to resolve the outstanding code violation. But as of now, there's nothing further for the committee to do.
Are we talking about the same thing that we?
Same thing we talked about at council.
Wasn't something supposed to happen in 20?
Yeah, and I have a signed contract with Spot Stevens and McCoy for the property.
So far, so good. We need to go back.
After civil rights.
Okay, item 5, zoning codes report.
The report's pretty self-explanatory in terms of craft enforcement action. They've been posting a lot of properties for grass and weeds. I had Diebold last week. I notified them to cut the Crown Plaza, 17 Bristol Court, and I think there were like 4 residential properties on top of that. So I don't know what's going on with that. Normally when your grass gets over 10 inches, you walk outside and, oh, I should probably cut my grass, and people aren't. So we'll keep posting and we'll cut where we need to. Did anybody have any questions on the report?
Okay, hearing none.
No, let's just stay on number 5 for a second.
So we still need to talk about feral cats.
Yeah.
So the update I have on that is, John and I both participated in a webinar that was put on through the Berks Community Foundation 2 weeks ago, is that right? Ashley Mulkusky, who's the executive director of the Animal Rescue League, I was already aware of this, but she was one of the presenters. ARL has brought their TVNR program back, so we will continue to push out information regarding that. I was kind of called out during that webinar. Oh, Jen, I didn't know you were on it, I'm sorry.
I listened to the recording, I wasn't able to show up that day, I watched the recording.
You were called out, you were called on. They wanted somebody competent to talk about things, and they chose you. It was a compliment.
So the point I made was that Wyomissing can do everything possible, but unless there's partnership from surrounding municipalities or we buy a dome to put over the borough, how are you stopping cats from other communities that aren't doing anything from coming here? So until there's a bigger picture approach, so I suggested maybe someone put a bug in Paul Jansen's ear about getting CELG to host a municipal forum on this topic and start looking at engaging partners to come up with solutions instead of individual municipalities.
Can I ask a question? Are these cats getting on a BARTA bus and coming here from somewhere else? Or are they not coming here through people that already live here?
Well,
it's
so-
it's not a problem with the people in Shillington bringing cats over here. It's a problem with people here that have cats and we know who they are.
Well, it's the feral, so one mating pair of cats can produce. I
That
think,
number was staggering,
was
400,000
400,000 cats.
in a 7-year
over the time of
period.
a 7-year
We
range.
thought rabbits were bad.
They can breed twice a year, they can have 5-6 cats per litter, you're talking about 10 cats over the course of that year. Each one of those 10 cats can now have 10 cats a year, each one of those 100 cats.
I get that.
And so it's, the cats are here, you can't,
No, they're here,
right,
but they're not coming from London. They're
No.
here. So if they're here, where are they? They're in people's houses, and we know where they are.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
the forest.
Yeah, there's
They're everywhere.
a combination of feral cats and indoor outdoor cats.
Phil, do you wanna share what you've seen in your neighborhood?
No feral.
Well, somebody just reported the other day that they saw 6 cats in the swale. I have a neighbor 2 doors down from me who didn't have cats until last year. Now they have 3 of them, and the regulation's 4?
Correct.
Okay. Unfortunately, they only have 3. But I find them in my yard, and you know, besides rabbit turds, my dog thinks that that's a delicacy also. So yeah, I don't like them in my yard. I don't know what to do about it. They just went away for 6 weeks and put food containers, feeding containers in their driveway for these cats to eat,
But did we not start with?
which attracted a fox also and knocked it over.
Well, there's a few of those, and I've seen those. But do we not start with 2 people or 2 houses that had too many cats? And now
It
we
was a block.
decided, right, and now we decided that we can't solve that problem. We have to get a universal cat solving problem from the whole world, because there could be 1 million cats at some point. Can't we just start with
60
people?
miles an
But I thought
80.
that block has made a lot of progress.
That
But it's
block-
not the only block that, you know.
Okay, well, maybe have 2 lots, I mean, whatever.
I-
Not all over the place.
Well, but there are a lot of different proposals. One is, some people want them to get licensed like dogs get licensed.
Or neutered, like we do. They
Well,
throw cats in.
Some people want it to be illegal to feed the cats and deer, unless you're participating in that program. So there are different things we could consider, and then we had the voucher program, which was very much appreciated by the residents last year.
Right.
And now that ARL is back, that's something we should consider, but
I think I'd add under the voucher program, I wasn't able to talk to her to ask how she even found out about it, but there was a resident of Birdland that came in to get one of those TVNR vouchers for no-nonsense neutering. I mean, that's nowhere close to where the known issue was. That was the reason we went with no-nonsense neutering. So clearly it's an issue in other places. I've heard complaints of Wyomissing Hills as well.
So how do we as a borough handle the problem without having to call the Prime Minister of England to help?
well, I mean, what I listed were a couple of suggestions other people had. I don't know what our ordinances, maybe Chris is aware of other municipalities which address it, but I think we could start addressing it better ourselves, as well as trying to enlisting our neighbors, but I don't think we should wait for our neighbors before we start doing something.
Well, the ordinance that I have experience with is one which penalizes people for feeding feral cats unless they participate in a trap neuter release program. And that is both a penalty and an incentive for people to do the right thing. And I believe it's the only practical solution to manage the situation where, people feel it's inhumane to simply destroy all the cats. And, that's arguable, but I think it's certainly a position that a lot of people hold. So the best alternative is the trap neuter release.
Well, the other thing is that feral cats keep out other feral cats, so if we got rid of them, you would just create a vacuum, which would be filled by other feral cats.
Well, I like the idea, as Chris mentioned, of, it's unlawful, to have these cats and then to feed them. I mean, this, with my neighbor being gone for 6 weeks, but sets up feeding stations, I almost was gonna go over and kick them over. And yes, I'm publicly saying that. Because I'm getting complaints from my other neighbors about it.
Well, Chris's point is it's unlawful to feed them if you are not actively getting them TVNR. So,
Right.
prove they're vaccinated, they're neutered, and then you can feed them. But if you have not done that, no, it's a violation of the ordinance to feed them and just let them run amok.
How about we move ahead with this? What do we need to move ahead with this? I like that.
I mean, I think there's no recommendation on the agenda, but I don't see why Chris and I can't start working on. One of the websites, Feline Friends, I forget which
We
one
can
it was.
discuss this. It
There were-
says available options.
But there's no motion on the agenda. I'm not saying we can't discuss it, I'm saying there's no formal action needed by the committee for us to continue. I have a bunch of draft sample ordinances, from different communities that I can send you if you wanna take a look.
So I don't wanna oversimplify this, but it sounds like it could be simple, that if you identify, if you pass this ordinance, it's not difficult to figure out who the people are that are doing this. We don't have to have cameras and everything.
Well, it's not hard to get information from neighbors about who's
Right.
feeding.
Okay, at that point is when we talk to them pleasantly and say, you need to do this. If they don't do it, then we have enforcement power. That makes sense.
But that's only gonna stop the feeding. Your feral cats aren't gonna go away. They are wild animals. They are well versed at living in the wild. They can sustain themselves without being fed by humans. They're no different than squirrels to a certain degree. I mean, that's where they live. You've got feral cats, you've got community cats, which are those sort of these indoor-outdoor cats. And it's, the goal is to get everything neutered, get them all the cats neutered, so that more babies can't come around and those feral cats can live 10 years and sort of the community will shrink down in size theoretically, but it won't continue growing. If they're not neutered, like I said, you're gonna have dozens and dozens of cats,
So is there,
dozens every couple
these
of
cats
months.
have constitutional protection, or can we also require them to neuter these cats?
No, we're not regulating the cats, we're regulating the people.
Well,
And
we
the
can't
way in
neuter the
which
people, the cats are the problem.
The way in which we're regulating the people is by penalizing them for feral cats
Right.
unless they participate in the effective release.
Yeah, but what I'm asking you, if they're in the trap and release program, as long as they got them, neuter the damn things.
That's what they do, they trap them, they neuter them, and they
Oh, all right.
return them. And they do,
Fine as a trap.
Return
Right.
them back to them.
but they return them back
That
to
is-
the area, that way another,
That's great.
yeah.
So no official action needs to be taken, but you guys are going to look into
Yes.
ordinances that we're gonna discuss at the next meeting. So we'll keep it on the agenda.
Perfect.
All right.
But also hopefully also address perhaps flying features.
Oh, yeah.
As
I
part
agree
of
with that, as
global,
part of the,
yeah.
I agree with that, yes. Item 6, Fourth and Oley Pump Station, Jim.
McCarthy's office is still working with some of these proposed apartment complexes to come up with a solution to financing new pump stations.
Is the reservation agreement, that's it.
It's in the works. Have we heard yet from,
Boiler?
the apartment complex over,
Boiler house?
yeah,
Yes, they committed to a certain number of
they did,
EDUs.
all right, because I didn't recall, I thought that one, they were so
That's the
edgy.
last holdout.
Yeah, they finally committed last week.
Okay. Can you, well, I'll look and see if I have any.
I don't think you were copied on that, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing it. If you could forward that to me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item 7, Water Authority, questions, Berks?
Not much to report, things are good at the plant. You received a letter about some of our biggest concerns going forward. Chip and others will be here at the meeting next month to discuss that, and give you more information. And I think that's about it.
Okay, what about the status of the ownership
You know, I
and the
talked,
cost share?
I talked to a solicitor for Rawa a couple of weeks ago, and he was gonna talk to Bill about it. I haven't heard back from him. I'll try to get some update from him. It might be necessary to set up a meeting with him.
Okay.
Make a motion, we just table it for now.
All right. It's a motion to table action on this at this time. Is there a second? Yeah, I guess we
Yes,
need a
motion.
second.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Item 8, sanitary sewers.
The Boulevard pump station is running on new pumps, but it's been a month or two waiting for Med to bring the new power to the station. It's incredible how non-responsive they are. We did have a little issue over the weekend, brand new pumps with a bad circuit board. Couldn't tell itself when to turn on and turn off, but that's being remedied. Jim's office is working on, the plans for the West Lawn Interceptor. The Spring Township Interceptor, all that black, smaller black pipe you see is bypass pumping, they're getting that all set up. And I don't know with certainty, but I'll assume sometime this week they'll be starting to put that big pipe in the ground. That'll start down near the duck pond and, Wyomissing Boulevard down in that area. Our contractor on D has not started work yet, but he will shortly. Woodland Road Sewer, there is an action item here, to replace its 4 manhole runs on Woodland Road that are in very poor condition, and they come right after, the Boulevard force main goes to gravity, and, I'll let Nick take it from there.
Put this out to bid, or bids were due last week. We received 8 bids. The low bidder being Wexcon, who's done quite a bit of work in the borough already. And their proposal for, that project was $272,122. And I reviewed all their paperwork they submitted with their bids and didn't have any concerns.
It's like $39,000 on your budget. Oh, yeah.
Too bad Steve's not here.
Steve's not here. Yeah, that, Jim and I'll have that spent by the time. A motion's needed to approve the lowest qualified bid for the Woodland Road Sewer project. There's a motion.
So moved.
Second? I'll second the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, the ayes have it.
Can we back up a second?
Sure.
You got something else you wanna, I have a question on the pump station project.
Okay?
When you say there's an issue with the circuit board, is that because Med Ed's dragging their feet
No,
getting power?
2 unrelated issues.
Okay.
Unrelated.
Are these all working? Do we have enough power that we're not gonna damage
Yeah,
anything?
we're just jumping the power from the old pump station to the new pump station, when it really needs to come out of one of their transformer boxes that's right there also. But we're waiting for that to happen.
I didn't know it was because we don't have
No,
enough
no,
amperage or
no.
wattage
it's
or
not the
whatever
case.
you want to call
Yeah, no.
it. Okay.
And those big bluish, greenish pipes down by the pool and stuff, that's related to which
That's
is-
the Spring Township sewer.
Okay. All right, item number 9, street improvements for 24.
Construction Master Services is out working they milled a lot of the roads, last week, they'll be paving this week. But the biggest section, Ready Boulevard from Squire to Logan, will be sometime early June. But they do have a payment application in for $110,526.30, that's mostly for handicap ramps, that's part of the project.
Okay, we need a motion to approve payment application number 1 for Construction Master Services LLC in the amount of $110,526.30. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Ayes have it. PennDOT, our favorite subject, PennDOT State Hill Road improvements. Anything on that that's new?
No update at this time.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
Thanks. I'm just curious, because it sounded like Mount Vesuvius erupted at the meeting when, it might have been Steve or somebody mentioned Woodland Road and buses. Did anybody get any intellectual response to how you have cars parked on both
One
sides?
side, I was correct, I stood corrected. Steve said it was one side of Woodland.
Okay, well, that's all right, so it doesn't matter, because it's still, still buses, which, if I understood PennDOT correctly, it's a two-road roundabout. So you've got a two-road roundabout and a one-road road and a line of buses that goes to West Lawn somewhere coming down. How is this gonna work? Does anybody have any idea how they're gonna put this 10 pounds into a 5-pound box and do a roundabout there with all those buses?
They claim those roundabouts are big enough for the big 18-wheeler trucks, I believe is what they say.
Yeah, the roundabout's
what they
okay.
say.
What about all the buses coming down?
Coming down Woodland
Yeah.
into the roundabout at the end of school. That should be fine, because they're all hooking a right. They're coming down and hooking a right. They're not going on the way in, they've all gotta go 3/4 of the way around that circle.
Well, if you sharpen that speech, everybody on the receivers will be happy.
Let's keep in mind, you know, because we've been talking about the buses, we've been talking about the Wyomissing buses. We still have a lot of Wilson buses
Yeah, the Wilson
traveling
buses
that
pass
route
through that way
as
too.
well, so it's not just the Wyomissing buses.
I agree. It seems like there's more buses and that's just a choke point, which is gonna get worse.
It'll get better.
It
According
should
to
get
them, it'll
better.
get better.
It should get better.
Yes.
I haven't been through a traffic circle yet that hasn't improved traffic. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yes, I agree.
I think Chief Phillips' research and his comments have to be considered. With Fleetwood's, you know, at over 400 crashes, both reportable and non-reportable, but as he puts it, you still have all that emergency equipment coming out deployed until somebody gets on the scene and determines what sort of accident it is. And the same thing with Byrne Township, that their crash rate at that circle has increased.
The
As
non-reportable,
well.
that's the thing, our
It's-
non-reportables will
Right.
go up.
That
Because
is
people
correct.
don't know how to drive circles, and then in 10 years they'll go back down, when people learn how to drive circles.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know,
The parents will stop bringing it into the school.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
well,
So are we still thinking, or is somebody thinking?
we're not thinking about anything.
Well, I know, but is somebody dreaming of the possibility that Wawa is still gonna be on that corner there? Or is that like, really?
No, that project's potentially still moving forward.
I was told it's dead in the water, there's no way
It-
in hell they're gonna put Wawa there.
It was for a period of time, and I had a call as recently as a month ago, and their engineer was actually at that PennDOT meeting.
Is this where the mobile station
Yeah.
is?
So it is back on the table.
I mean, it's something, you know, we all have our thoughts on this, we've conveyed our thoughts to PennDOT. You know, the public and our residents have conveyed their thoughts to proper officials. At the end of the day, PennDOT is going to do what they want to do, so, you know, we can talk till we're blue in the face and we can keep hashing this out, but it's not gonna, you know, we have no say in this.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but I think, 8 months ago, we didn't think there's any way we could stop 2 roundabouts instead of, have 3 instead of 5. So I think we made a lot of progress with these people that don't listen. It seems like they're listening because it sounds like the Granite Point one and the one at the top of the intersection of Woodland and the Bull and Penn Avenue. That sounds like that's not their greatest day to put those 2 in. So it seems like they're listening to us, or else they're just blowing smoke up. our
Yeah, those are
butts.
just part of phase 2 and 3.
But then the
Yeah,
next
we
phase,
said
they
The
have-
next phase.
Yeah, I know, it's
Yeah,
fake, but
finally-
they seem to be suggesting, when they suggest the house on the corner could be part of the historic register, they must be digging pretty deep, because.
No, they haven't even approached those phases
No, I
yet.
know, but at
So,
the beginning, they were saying we're
wouldn't
having
even-
5, period.
You know, they're concentrating on phase 1, so.
We just have to keep knocking on their doors, so they don't forget us.
So when we've written letters, we've gotten responses that seem rather erudite
Yeah.
and throw out a lot of statistics to back up the roundabouts. Anyway, sidewalk project, Jim?
People have applied, Greg and I went out and marked the sidewalk, and we have the quantities now, so, we are ready to bid that, and are looking for permission to bid. Although I will say the quantities and the number of applicants was down a little bit over the last couple of years.
That's surprising.
Okay, we need a motion to approve authorizing the borough engineer to bid the 50/50 sidewalk project.
So moved.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, ayes have it. Moving on.
Just one question on that. Is it for later this year, or is it next year that we're gonna start sending out enforcement notices in some of these properties?
This year, Jim and I actually just approved the template letter that Kraft put together, and we've given them an area to start. I mean, when we started the 50/50 program in 2015, we were gonna give it 5 years, and it's
Yeah.
2024, so it's been 9.
I think we'd give a reasonable down, you know, I mean, we've helped people along, they gotta help us too, so.
Yes.
And their fellow residents by not having ski slopes as walkways.
I'd like to ask Jim a question. Has anybody in the United States of America come up with preformed pieces of concrete that you dig out, drop it in, and move to the next one, drop it in, as opposed to, because the Army does it all the time. You runway, they have a runway by the night, because they bring it all in, it's preformed, bingo. Can you not do that? Or do you have to have these guys come in, like dig all these holes and all this stuff? Can't you just take one off the truck, put it in, move to the next one?
You're making it simpler than what it is. I'm sure you could get a 4x5 piece of 4-inch thick concrete and do that. But there's tree roots in the way. You have to put in stone sub-base. A lot of them with the sidewalk program, you need a little bit of an arc around the tree. It's not as cookie cutter as it seems.
No, but is there not a halfway station there where if you have no trees and you have just a cracked sidewalk from 1922, that they can't just throw it away and put another one in, as
I'm
opposed
sure
to?
it's possible.
That could be something you could suggest to somebody who has a sidewalk
Yeah,
project.
if you, that's right, if you picked it up, your beginning is not what you're laying down.
Yeah, well, you'd figure it out. I mean,
You're
it's
trying to fill
preformed.
it in, so.
Now, we did offer it, and I guess it's still okay to do it. This was a few years back where we said you can, if you're part of the sidewalk replacement program, you can either do concrete sidewalk or you can do paving stones. Which at the time I kind of liked, because I'm like, if the tree root grows 10 years from now, you kind of lift them up, put them back down. But very few people took us up on that. Most wanted plain concrete.
Can I ask you a quick question? Somebody came up to me at Earth Day and was wondering, I guess, the handicap ramps were put on the sidewalks at Flowers and Wayne, but never on Flowers and Terrace. So if you walk down Terrace, Flowers is that alley, it is just a full curb. It's not, there's no ramp, there's no little handicap ramp there for somebody to get across Flowers Lane.
We only replace handicap ramps if we're doing street work. That's just been our MO.
There's not
nothing
even
there. I can
handicap
look at
ramps
it,
there.
we could put it into next year's street project. Hey, just do this extra handicap ramp. We could. do
Yeah,
that.
there's just curbs there, like no wheelchair could get.
At Wayne and Trent,
No, at Terrace and Flowers.
Terrace and Flower Lane.
Yeah.
Is there a driveway
It's the
close
alley.
by that?
What's that?
Is there a driveway close by that people could use?
Maybe, but if they don't know that they need to get off and into the street back then,
Right.
it is curb, Flowers Lane, and then a curb to get back onto the sidewalk. And you can't even turn down Flowers Lane because there's no sidewalk there. So if you're on Terrace, you're dead-ended with 2 curbs. They were just asking, they had seen that it was done over on Flowers and Wayne, I guess 5 years ago when you did Wayne. And they were like, why haven't they done ours? We thought it was gonna have to pack, so I thought I'd bring it up.
Is Terrace due for repaving?
No. No, but there's nothing that says we can't, if somebody requests a handicap ramp, council would have to agree to it. We want to spend $8 grand to put a handicap ramp there.
It makes sense, they're 2 copies all of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
Yeah.
walking
Well, in the
from
library,
Reading, the library's
Yeah.
right there.
Okay, item number 10, Cambridge Avenue culvert, I know this is on just for notice purposes, but we do have a motion. What's going on here?
Payment application number 4 for $67,154.11. This is for the bridge, basically, part of the bridge payment.
Oh, pedestrian bridge, okay. All right, we need a motion to approve pay application number 4 with Construction Masters Services LLC in the amount of $67,154.11. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
So moved.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, the ayes have it. Recommendation of council to make that payment.
We still, we're still talking about the bridge, right?
Yeah, for the district.
Yeah, just a little public comment on that. Some people have been questioning why these large 6-foot yellow ballards are there. They are there temporarily, okay? We have decorative 3-foot black ballards on order, but we had to put something there to prevent motor vehicles from crossing that bridge, okay, or motorcycles or anything of that nature. The measurement is 63 inches from the corner, from the front of the ballard to the corner of the bridge. So there's a clearance of 63 inches. People have expressed their concerns about larger wheelchairs or double strollers. The largest wheelchair cannot be any more than 36 inches because it has to fit through a doorway. Okay, so that's not a wheelchair, or not an issue. And the same thing that we've been able to research, Jim McCarthy and myself, along with the double strollers, they seem to be around that same width. So there should not be any problem in getting the wheelchair around that ballard coming off the bridge. The only thing Jim is going to do, that's going to be done during road construction, is he's going to put a little bit more macadam down and widen the ramp, if you will, at the end of the bridge on both ends. So there's a little bit more of a solid area for the wheels of such as a wheelchair to get off, and so they don't have to be running into the grass area. It'll be more of a harder surface. So I just wanted to
So could I ask,
update everyone.
could I ask a question that follows your question of the wheelchairs and the double strollers? Did anybody ask Jim Babb if the lawn mowing equipment is also eligible for consideration, so that his guys don't have to drive in from Wyomissing Boulevard and come down the other way, that they can get through there as well? Or is the exception only for the largest double wheelchair available or double stroller?
I don't think they want any mechanical equipment.
According to what Jim McCarthy said, that any motorized vehicle that goes over that bridge voids the warranty.
So you guys come down from.
We never used that we never
Yeah.
used that.
Yeah, I mean, they come down from Parkside Drive North and down.
They got a routine.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it
So it's not a concern, is what you're saying.
Yeah, okay, well, that's fine. So does that mean we can take those goofy signs up too, now that basically say you can't do what we know you can't do anyway because it won't fit?
What signs?
You mean the no motor vehicle
Yeah,
signs?
yeah, yeah. You can't get in there with a motor vehicle, what good's a sign? I mean, you already know you can't get in it, why do we need a sign?
Motorcycles? Dirt bike?
You could take a dirt bike, or, and we've had issues with those in the parkland.
Yeah.
Everything right in the parking.
Well, I would just say that's that's sort of,
Not that they're gonna stop and read the sign. Or
exactly,
they
because you can come up over the other
Yeah,
side
let's
of
just
the boulevard and get on there if you want, if you're driving the car, it's like a sign
The
there.
sign will
sort
not
of.
deter.
But it's kind of junk we don't need in the borough if we know you can't do it.
Hey, I'm not in favor of signs either, but maybe we're required to have it there, I don't
Is
know.
that another state requirement, do we have to have a sign there or just put?
Well, if
I think it comes
If we don't
down,
wanna expose ourselves to,
Liability.
Warning and more liability, you gotta have some warning sign. Right?
Oh, you do?
Joe just made the point
Yeah.
about, there's a reason your coffee cup has a disclaimer on it that the contents might burn you.
And one of the top of a step ladder isn't a step.
Yeah.
That's the way we live now.
You're
Those are all warnings that nobody follows anyway.
right.
All right, item 11.
There's no update at this time other than I know Bill Meister's wrapping up the 3 options. I expect we'll have an update for you at the June meeting.
June infrastructure.
Yes, June infrastructure.
Okay, thank you. Item 12, public works, garage project. Jim, how's that going? I was by it the other day. Looks like making great progress.
Moving along, the building is up, the concrete floors are in, they're working on the interior electric and plumbing. Now all the under pad plumbing is in, but now they're, this is going along. There's issues, we just work through them. So far so good.
Okay, there's also a payment application
You just worked through them.
number 6 from Bolton Construction Inc. for $300,415.80. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Okay.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Ayes have it. Make that recommendation to council. Item 13, any update on Fast Bridge?
We've started getting a few more sporadic complaints here and there, but nothing like what it was last year. And just chalk it up to mistakes happen when you're doing any type of project. Nothing out of the usual though.
So I have a question.
There's a lot of questions.
Well, this is the only place you come to ask questions. I mean, there's a whole 6 people individually, which is really hard to do. At any rate, Fast Bridge, everybody's got Comcast, right? So now Fast Bridge is here. Is there any possibility that somebody could call Mr. Fast Bridge and say, what does this project look like? What are you offering? What type of service? Do you have to cancel your other provider? That kind of stuff.
Do you know
They
how
provide,
long?
they provide internet,
One answer at a time.
they provide internet.
I know, but you
It's-
don't work for Fast Bridge.
but I pay Fast Bridge monthly.
So
they
you
sent
want to
information.
wire
They have a
everybody in
website.
the borough?
Yeah, you just, it's
Right,
$59.
They have a
How were
website.
you were approached by a
They
salesperson?
were here.
I
When
know
they're
they
in the
have.
area, yeah, when they are in your area,
When
they're gonna
in
come
your
knock on
area,
your door. They're gonna lay lines along
been
your
our
street,
I
they're
got
gonna
a
knock on your
flyer
door.
on my door, I still don't know what they do. I
Fast
just
Bridge
have a
according to
flyer.
website.
They are gonna
There's no
install lines, and
coming
then if
to-
you want, they will,
They gave a
My-
full
Hook you up with
presentation
Wi-Fi.
here.
I don't think
For-
they do.
I'm just hearkening
40
back.
They're
to-
not
So
necessarily
they
in
come to
the
my house and
borough.
send me.
I mean, put it this way, I live in
Yeah.
Amazonia and
I'm
they're
just saying,
literally stopping
when the
people
people
from
showed
my
up
house and I
about
would beg
the stone
them,
house. they
please,
said,
I hate
"Go read
Comcast,
it."
Yeah, they're
please.
two
Okay,
lots
so
from
now
here.
we have
And-
people that we say
I mean,
go
I
read it,
inspect
say,
down the road,
I
but,
don't even know where to get
but
it to
it's
read
not
it,
part
so
of the initial
we can
appointment.
get something from them.
No, I'm
And
right
we
there
can
with you.
put it on our website that tells everybody what's going on. Why is that a problem?
Ditch
Why do we have to tell people, when a lady knocks on your door, you can have an hour conversation?
Well, I don't know what advertising.
I don't-
Yeah,
Here's
I
what
had
we're
it,
endorsing.
we had like switched everything over to
Okay.
T-Mobile,
No problem.
but had
They'll individually
Comcast
do
for
it.
3 weeks, I
I
was
don't
like,
know.
fine. My husband
I'm
calls
not looking
Comcast,
to promote
cuts,
anything.
and I go to like log on, and nothing's wrong. I swear it was like Comcast, like did something.
They're
So
considered
we
a
ended up having
utility.
to
They
go
can
back.
come in and
So I'm
we
like, how
can't
did it
keep them
work?
out.
they were,
3 weeks.
I've had
And
them for
then
months, they
as
were
soon
in the
as we hit that
hills
chord, it was
forever
like-
ago.
Yeah.
And
That
not
doesn't
for
surprise
90%
me.
of the people there,
Unfortunately, my wife's working
they
from home, so
installed the
yeah.
lines,
Yeah,
the grass was
same
back,
thing, I
everything
need
was
to
perfectly
connect.
fine,
Right.
you didn't even know they
So
were
does my
there.
husband.
There was the occasional person who complained they ripped up their lawn. So 90% of your about 90+% of your residents aren't even gonna notice that lines were installed in front of their house.
I'm not interested in the lines, I'm interested in the service that they're providing to compete with the people who are already here, which when Comcast came in here, we had all kinds of meetings about what are they gonna pay and what are they gonna do. We knew what they were doing, we had no idea what Bass Bridge is doing, except fixing your lawn after they wreck it.
They're providing internet, fast, fiber optic internet, not cable, they're not providing cable television, just internet.
I'll call you later.
Okay.
But they will tell you if you want certain things, you'll suggest providers, they'll tell you where to get phone service, they'll send them to your house.
Just call me.
There's a long, short item there. Stonehouse Park project, is there anything new on that?
It went back out to bid last Wednesday after council.
And when are the bids due?
June, before the June
Before
council,
June,
infrastructure council. So, discussed at June infrastructure, awarded at the July council meeting.
Okay. 15 Parkland study.
In progress, Flora Teeter will be attending this Wednesday's Park and Shade Commission meeting. We'll talk about a revised date for the walking tour on Wednesday at that meeting, but walking tour scheduled for hopefully June 19th, 25th, or 26th.
I think everyone's got notice of that. Haven't they, or council? Okay. Does anyone find it interesting that the name's Flora
Fauna,
and then fauna?
Their daughter needs one.
It's funny. Anyway,
Is there a 12 question rule here?
yes.
Yeah, you've exceeded that.
I just have one question.
Oh, now I'm falling on Flora.
No, somebody said something somewhere I was reading about a bench somewhere, and there was a picture attached to the bench. So
Rotary
considering,
wants to do it.
That's.
yeah, that's at the Park and Shade Commission
Oh,
meeting.
that's on Park and Shades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I figured since it's construction, it'd be infrastructure, so I throw it in.
Well, we probably go from Park and Shade over to infrastructure and then.
Okay, well, I just have a request that we reinstall the split rail fence on Old Wyomissing Road. It's not expensive, it adds a lot of character, which we've always had, but then when it got too rotted, it was 120 years old, we took them down and never put them back. I would suggest that they would be nice to put there again, and it wouldn't be that expensive considering the kind of money we blow here on a regular basis.
So we talked about that at Park and Shade extensively. That was taken down because the amount of staff time it takes to maintain it. It's not needed. Jim McCarthy went out there and looked. They have multiple other things they need to work on, and it is a huge time suck for them to replace those sections of fence.
I would like to know how much time it takes. I had a
Right.
split rail fence in my house for 20 years. All I had to do was make sure that it wasn't rotting. There wasn't any maintenance, you didn't have to paint them. What do you have to do to maintain a split rail fence?
That fence was painted, so yes, it had to be painted and the rotting
It was
sections.
100 years old, how many times did they paint it? You don't have to paint a split rail fence, you just put it up, why paint it?
I mean, the decision's already been made and approved to take it down and not replace
It's
it.
been down for 10 years.
No, it's been down for about 2.
No, wrong.
Oh,
They
are we talking about the same thing? I think you're talking about split rail fence from Ruth's Bridge down to Old Mill.
Yeah.
And I think you're talking about the wooden fence from Ruth's Bridge up towards the barn on the right.
Well, I mean, when we discussed with it, that's some of it, but when we discussed it at Park and Shade, the idea was as it deteriorates, it's all going to be taken down and not replaced. So it's throughout the whole parkland.
But that was already down, so that wasn't the discussion at the Park and Shade, because that one was already gone. I'm questioning why we don't put it back up. I mean, there are things that are nice. If a tree dies, we don't say, oh, the hell, the tree died. We put another tree there. If we think it looks nice, you can't tell me it's expensive to put that split rail fence up and say the maintenance is ridiculous. I mean, I'll maintain it if you like me to, because I don't know what you have to do with a split rail fence to keep it nice. And I don't see why we don't do that, because we're going backwards here. The island going out to Penn Avenue is now macadam. It was never macadam. It's macadam because we have some issues with things died, things reappeared, they didn't die. Can't we be a little more imaginative instead of going from flowers across from Atonement to black? You know, we might as well put a sign up, put roundabout here, because it looks like you're starting a roundabout with that black macadam. Just looks like hell. This is not what the borough had in the beginning, and it's been here for 200 years. Suddenly we have to macadam it. I don't understand.
We'll make a motion in Borough Council.
Okay, well, I don't know which committee it should be at. Which one do I go
Do
to?
it for council.
What's the split rail fence committee?
Well, they'll just refer it back to them. And the lady will never see it.
All right, but have to lobby those.
Anything new on lead?
Still working on it. We got the latest rendition back and we still had 770 accounts that we could not prove that it wasn't lead. And you have to prove it doing certain things. So we continue to work on it, but it's down to a house by house scenario.
Give a timeline. Or
We have to,
is the timeline imposed?
we have to submit our final report, if you will, by October. And on that report, there's gonna say, we have 500 houses that could be lead, we can't prove that they're not, even though I don't think they are. And then phase 2 of this will be, and they don't have the rule book written yet, is, we probably, in my estimation, have to vacuum or dig in people's front yards to prove that their service line from the curb into their house is copper, galvanized, lead, but you have to, they don't take your word for it, you have to prove it. That's the, it'll be a battle going on for 10 more years, yeah.
Sounds great.
Is that actually all the way into the house?
All the way into the house.
And that's on you?
It's
Not
on
the
us.
homeowner.
It's on us. Yep. Contrary to everything else in the water business, but in this case,
That's the sewer business.
This is
Sewer's
only for
laterals.
It's only public water systems,
excuse me?
only public water systems that are covered,
Yes.
or community and.
Trailer parks and stuff still have to apply.
So they're
Anybody that
community
has
water
a public water ID number, I think has to.
But I don't have to at my place. because
I don't think
Leave a
they'll be
well.
coming after you.
All right, item 17, Commonwealth Charter Academy,
When are you taking this one?
waiver.
I'm involved, but I'm not involved. I don't know if I know enough to speak. Do you know enough to speak?
They were at the last meeting, but I mean,
We
I've not
already
heard.
decided
Yeah, I thought it was our understanding that they would have to draft, an agreement. And they have to pay for all fees involved, including our solicitor's fee. And the waiver would be that we are, you know, if a tree would uproot and tear out their wiring, or the root would just sever the wiring, we are not held responsible for anything.
So that's what you,
Yeah,
for Mary.
they sent us a sample that they use in the city of Erie. There's a lot of things in it I didn't like, and I wrote a new version, and I circulated that, and I'm looking for comments from McCarthy. And, did I send that to you, Jim, also?
Yeah, I need to read, I glanced at it.
So, anyway, so we have a staff review of my version of the agreement, and after I get our staff comments, then I'll send it to Commonwealth Charter Academy.
Okay, so currently you should table.
So
So is there a motion to table, Bill? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Item 18, National Fitness Campaign, Fitness Sport Studio Fitness. A lot of fitness is in there.
This was presented to the rec board at their meeting in April. Some of you may recall back in 2019 when Rob Lewis was the rec director, he had obtained a grant from the National Fitness Campaign to install a sports court. That never got off the ground, I'm not entirely sure why. But they circled back to me in the past couple of months of, hey, you had one of these before, nothing happened with it, are you still interested? I brought it to the rec board's attention to see if there was interest. There very much is interest from the rec board, so they made a recommendation to push it to infrastructure. The overall cost for the court is about a little less than $220,000. The grant covers 30 to 40. Those of you that are involved with the planning commission are aware that we have multiple development projects coming down the pike that would all have to pay a recreation fee in lieu of recreation amenities on site. I think the rec fees paid from one of that project would more than cover the cost of installing this court. Talking through this with the rec board, they liked the option, hold on, that has the studio. So this is the basic court, that it has the equipment, anybody can use it, download an app on your phone, and it gives you all different types of workouts. The court version also has this court on the other side that could be programmed through the rec department to offer everything from yoga to Zumba to other types of fitness classes. The rec board feels like this could help us reach that demographic, that 30 to maybe 60-ish, that we've had some issues getting the attention of or participation from. So to be clear, there's no intention for the borough to move forward with this paying for any funds out of the borough's pocket per se. The idea would be if we got the grant, the balance of the project cost would be paid for by the recreation impact fees. The other discussion was where would it go? I did ask Flora Teeter if they could identify a potential location in the parklands as part of the study. One, if they felt it was appropriate to put this there, which they very much do think it would fit nicely with the other passive recreation opportunities available in the parklands. So I asked them as part of the final study to recommend one, if not several locations that it could go.
Is this similar, the one picture looked very familiar, is this what they have up at the
Kutztown has one, yes.
Do we have any, are the residents of Kutztown using this? Is it?
Yeah, that one's themed after Keith Haring. I know Randy was,
Yeah, I've read their stuff and, you know, they said it seems to be going well, which is great. You know, I had looked into something similar, more equipment wise through ARC, was doing something that they paid for the whole thing, but unfortunately that was only a 1-year project and they haven't renewed it, but I guess there's four of these ARC places around Pennsylvania. My only concerns with this, number one, is when we say we'll use the money that's being used from these development of the apartments, I would want to make sure that the first priority of those funds go towards the replacement of equipment at the Berkshire Heights playground. We've,
that's already happening this year through that grant.
okay, good.
So that project will be done by the end of the year, give or take.
We were having a meeting then this week.
Yeah.
Do we know what the lifespan of this court is?
They said 20-ish years on the call that we had. The surface itself, I mean, it's made to withstand weather and be out in the elements. Jim, Greg, and I, and Randy had a call with the NFC, well, it was probably over a month ago at this point. You know, we were talking about, does it make sense that it's in a more shaded location versus a non-shaded location, and they actually recommended it doesn't really matter, meaning there's locations where it's going to get hit with leaves and a lot of other things. That's just then a staffing consideration that somebody would have to go and blow the court off during that time of the year.
So I have a sport court in my backyard that I put in several years ago.
Do you use it?
We used it extensively for more basketball playing there than at the Knicks. At any rate, the kids are gone. It wears gotta go somewhere. And I know that the parkland is passive recreation, so I'm not sure where you wanna stash this thing. But then you have instructors, where do they come from? You have the battle of the instructors, as who runs the court at any given time. I mean, we have fitness places that open and close around here at any given day. There's probably 6 of them within a mile and a half of this place. And I haven't heard anybody say to me they haven't found a fitness place. Because then you have trainers and all the other people that are part of these things. And I think if we don't have to get government involved in something, let's not do it. I mean, Restrepo's got a place over there, there's a place over here, there's fitness places everywhere around here. We don't need to be in the fitness business.
I don't disagree with that, but I've heard loud and clear that the rec board is looking for opportunities to serve a population. We've had yoga instructors, multiple, reach out to us about being able to offer yoga lessons as part of our recreation program. I do think this is a great option for an additional recreation amenity we could offer the community and program through our rec department that we are offering Zumba, we are offering yoga, we are offering Tai Chi, we are offering whatever you wanna program.
Where are you gonna put it? That's the question.
Again, I'm having the company that's doing our,
Some of these yoga classes I've seen down at the Stonehouse.
yeah, you
It
just
looks-
do it on a mat.
Yeah, and they're it looks like 12 people, individuals. I mean, obviously I don't do yoga, but it seemed to be very well attended.
Great, and they don't need this thing, they're already there.
I have no skin in the game. I don't care either way, to be honest with you. If this court goes in,
You gotta buy a fire truck, we don't need to spend, besides, my sport club cost me $3,000, so how it goes from 3,000 to 195 sounds like a giant rip-off.
Ron does bring up a good point that, not only the
Right,
fire
yeah.
truck,
Put in the
you know,
minutes.
that,
We don't
you know,
want to compete.
we have, we do have a lot of fitness centers, right? That offer both public and private, and one-on-one. People, there's a group that'll come to your house. But we also, right now, we got a lot of stuff in the box that we need money for. And it's not just the fire truck, it's a whole raft of things. And I think, we've kicked all these down the road long enough that we need to start acting on those. Yes, this is something maybe down the road can be looked at. I don't think it's something we should really entertain right now,
fine with me.
my opinion.
Well, the very last bullet point is, a motion's needed to approve, table, or deny recommending council to approve the borough submitting a grant application.
Take a motion to table.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, none, motion is tabled.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Okay, seeing as there's nothing further, the full meeting adjourned by acclamation.
Wait, what?
Yes,
Well
that's
done.
correct.
Wait, what?
Where's
By
that?
acclamation, that is correct. You can do that.
Look it up here, fucking back.